our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The calling of his disciples is something that has been demonstrated to us, given to us, explained to us, so that we understand what the grace of God is about. What his purpose was and what he desired to do. He chose 12 men with completely and entirely different perspectives, with different abilities and different desires. And he shaped and molded them. They were not always willing. They were not the brightest. They were not the most insightful. They were the ones that God had chosen. Each of them were chosen by God to demonstrate what grace means to the church, because when he read to heaven, they were the ones he had appointed would fulfill this remarkable gift of starting believers in Christ and spreading it throughout the world. When the Lord called, by the way, this is Peter, this is James, and this is John. John was always the youngest. They always make him completely, entirely hairless in the face. Many people accuse him of looking like a woman. He's a pretty ugly woman. So, his purpose, though, is to demonstrate his youth. James is much older, and Peter is an old man. God chose disciples of different ages to accomplish different understandings, to purposes, and to reach different types of people. Everything that the Lord set up shows us that he had an understanding that was beyond comprehension. Now, I'm going to start out by pointing out what I call incidentals. A lot of remarkably small incidentals. We have a blue shell and a brown. Blue represents heaven, this represents hell. There is only one or the other. It's separated by a line, and this was done purposely to make it very clear that there is no middle ground. You either are a believer or you're an unbeliever. And it all stems upon the one who is standing right above it, which is the Lord. Either you have faith or you don't. Peter was called, and if you understand Greek, and most of you don't, so you're going to have to take my word for it. When the Lord first named him, his name meant small rocks. There are, right here, a total of 12 rocks. Small rocks. It represents that Peter was to build the church. He and the 12 disciples had been chosen by God to build the church. When he confessed, the Lord says, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." He changed the name in the Greek so that it meant one large boulder, which is what the Lord represents. He is our rock and our fortress, which comes from the 18th Psalm. So, these little rocks are pointing us to two factors. The Lord chose 12 disciples in which to build his church on, but the real issue was, it was the Lord that they were building everything on. Love little subtleties. This, I have no idea what it's supposed to be, but it's remarkable because there's about 75 crosses on it. This is to demonstrate to us that the cross of Christ is everywhere when it comes to where salvation lies. This flag has 7 stripes on it to point to the unity of heaven and earth. This has 7 stripes on it to point to the unity of heaven and earth. All these little subtleties overwhelm me. We have a boat, which is tied to a pole. This is to show that Christ is the one who sustains us, protects us, holds on to us. Because the Jewish mind and the people of Israel were scared to death of what was called water. Very few could handle being fishermen at all, because collectively they were scared to death. God even understood this so much in the book of Revelation. He says the sea was like glass and they could walk on it, so he would take away the fear of the sea. Yet in this, we have this line tied, which is tied securely to a post which cannot be moved, to demonstrate that our Lord is the one who brings security. We have this little building right here, and in the midst of that building there is a triangle, because the triangle represents the triune God. It also represents the strongest element that we know when it comes to building. You put a triangle in things, things don't move. And so the Lord in this remarkable window is one who is being told for us by these people who made it, that he is the strength. Because these windows, these buildings, represent Jerusalem in the background. Which makes no sense because of where he was, but that's not the point. It's not about making sense. It's about filling in gaps. This little building right here has three right underneath the Lord, so it again represents the fact that this is the triune God. Everything that our Lord has given to us on these little subtleties all point us, by the designers of these windows, to the truth of the value that we have in understanding how God works in our lives. Now, there's just too much, and it overwhelms me. We're going to start with Peter, and then we will progress forward. In the text that we had tonight, Peter was overwhelmed because the Lord gave him such a great catch. This is brown. This is important. This is light blue. This is really important. This is dark blue, which represents the fact that God has placed heaven upon him. The light blue shows that his faith wavered a great deal. The brown shows us that he was a pathetic twit sometimes and didn't reflect his faith at all because he was so sinful. His halo is remarkable. Whoever designed it to give us a message, it's amazing. In each of these, there are three large balls, and every one of them has three in between it. It is pointing out two things about Peter. He was redeemed in the blood of Christ. He wasn't redeemed in his actions because he denied the Lord 3 times. And in the back of the Gospel of John, Jesus comes to him on the shore and goes, "Do you love me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And Jesus goes, "Then feed my sheep." "Do you love me?" And Peter goes, "Yeah, I do." "Then feed my sheep." The 3rd time, Jesus says, "Do you love me, Peter?" He goes, "You know I do, Lord. What do you want from me?" And he said, "Feed my sheep." Because Peter, who had promised that no matter what he can give his life, denied him 3 times. And this halo is reflecting the fact that Peter did have a halo because of his actions. His eyes are closed. It is the greatest reverence that he can show. He's on his knees, he has his eyes closed, and this is reflecting the fact of what he could bring before the Lord, which was that he denied, and the Lord asked him 3 times, and all he could do is say, "I'll try." And the Lord says, "Feed my sheep." Saying to us, by the way, in the halo, that the Lord was going to accomplish a purpose through Peter, in spite of Peter. This shows a wavering faith that we have way too often. This reflects the reality that we are sinners. This is a different color. This is when the light comes in, right, it really is gold. This shows that God has placed upon each of us heaven, the wondrous blessing and promise of heaven. But it's not at the forefront. It's at the back because we're still on the earth. And when you look at everything, Peter is the least of the 3 when it comes to his messages. He is humbled because he was not one who honored his Lord. He was a loudmouth. He always would run into situations. But when push came to shove, he was like everybody else. He whipped out. James and John, called the sons of thunder. They both had a vibrant personality. There were 2 James that were disciples. So this one, they gave an embroidery around his robe to show that he was the greater James, not the lesser James, so that everyone who looked at this would know this is the James, the son of Zebedee, not the other James. His halo is unique. The gold reflects the fact that God has granted to him an insight that he is the Messiah. Each of these have 3, which binds him to understand that this is the triune God in his presence. His hand is up because it's a reflection of the one time when John and James came before the Lord and said, when we get to heaven, that's why his hand's up, when we get to heaven, can we have a special place? This is showing his arrogance as a man. And yet, in spite of that, his place before God is one that he is the servant of the Almighty God. He was the servant of Christ. He is dressed in purple to reflect that he is serving the King. Which ties right into this little portion of this. This is a crown. It's to represent the crown of holiness that is on Christ, Christ's righteousness in his presence. He is dressed in purple to demonstrate that he is worshiping the one who is the King of Kings. This is the part that overwhelms me, and it does, in more ways than I can tell you. If you look closely, John is dressed just like the Lord, except the Lord has these remarkable embroideries around his clothes. And when you look at these embroideries, they're just beautiful in what they're supposed to do, showing that Christ's position was unique. He was the Son of Mary, and at the cross, he became the Son of Mary. And so in this picture, in this drawing, they wanted to equate the fact that John was the Son of Mary as well, by the Lord's decree. It is why he is covered in red. He had a purpose of carrying Christ in the most personal way to his mother. John was always one. If you read the Gospel of John, he never names himself by name, but he says, the one who was loved by the Lord, which is a reference to himself. He had a special place before God. God chose him when he was at the foot of the cross and said, here is my mother, but now she is your mother. And so John is pictured in this fashion to show a special connection between the Lord and himself in the work and promise that they were to carry out. There are 12, by the way, there are 12 boxes above John in this little section right here. Each box has 4 corners. It's a reference to the world. This is pointing us to the book of Revelation. John was given a special role more than any other disciple. He lived the longest. He was the last living disciple. He was transported up to heaven, and he was given this remarkable insight of what the book of Revelation was teaching. And everything that is pointed in this halo points to the reality of John being in the presence of Christ, the one who is the ultimate Savior, and he saw him in his glory. It is why John is pictured in such a different fashion. He has his hand open and down to show his humility, because when John went to heaven and he started having things revealed, there was over and over again where he fell down before everything because he was overwhelmed with what was taking place. It's all part of what is being shown here. He is looking directly at the Lord because he has only one hope and one means to gain any knowledge, and that is if he listens to the Lord himself. John's position, John's clothing, everything about John is to show that this special connection of God was made so that we would receive the amazing comfort of knowing what the victory in Christ was all about. An amazing menagerie of things is going on with this person called John in this picture. The Lord. Oh, man. His halo is so different than everybody else's. The 3 red bells. In the bells, each has a figure. The figure has 3 parts to it. Everything, again, is pointing to the fact that this is the triune God. This is come down to Peter. This is gold. This is extending the kingdom of heaven and the power of heaven to his disciple, and to, this one goes here, this one goes here, and this one comes over here to Peter. It's reflecting that God alone brings salvation and life to his people, especially to his disciples. Now, I want you to notice something. The subtleties of these windows are amazing. There is this black that separates Christ from his halo. It is to demonstrate that he had a dual nature. He was both God and man. Then you come over here and you look at John, and he has this separation. because he was both holy and sinful. He was a saint and a sinner. Same thing with him and same thing with him. This is different than most of these. There is a unique change that is being proclaimed here, that God is showing us that we are 100% saint and 100% sinner, but the Lord himself was both God and man. But because he was a man, there was a duality that he brought. And this duality is something that we carry because of his grace, that we now know that we are sinful, but at the same time, we have been made holy before the Lord. These 3 disciples were chosen by God, and this is another thing that this window is representing. The reason each has a halo is not because they were holy of themselves. They have halo because what the Lord asked them to do. At the Transfiguration, he chose 3 of them, Peter, James, and John. When he was going in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he separated himself from everybody else, and he went to pray, he asked Peter, James, and John. They had a special role before the eyes of God. They were the first 3 disciples called in the context of choosing them to go forward, and he held on with these 3 in a very special manner the whole ministry. Why? Because he was going to demonstrate to everyone that it's not about who the individual is. It's about what the Spirit will do through them. Peter was an idiot. These 2 were known as the sons of thunder, which means they did a lot of idiotic things to begin with. They had to grow up and learn. He had to grow up and learn. Because being chosen is never dependent upon our faith, but it's dependent upon the grace of our God. Our Lord, in red, the only Redeemer. Yellow, the only path to heaven. This usually represents, anytime it's on the Lord, the gates of heaven, and that he alone opens up the gates of heaven. If you look, there is a goldness right here that reflects the fact that he has the highest calling. When he has his hand reaching out, it's again showing that it is the power of God in Christ that brings wisdom and the calling that he fulfills. Everything about this window overwhelms me because it's so amazing, all that it's bringing to us. Every one of these windows is the Bible in picture, to tell a story that has so many parts to it. And if you read through the scriptures and you pick up Peter, James, and John, you are going to see how many of those things are reflected just in what is taking place here. This is called the humble Peter. That was only done by the grace of God. This is a humble John, who humbled himself before the Lord in so many forms and fashions so that he could carry out exactly what the Lord wanted him to do. And this is reflecting how the nature of man is. He looked to the Lord because there was only one hope, but at the same time, he tried to dictate things at times by telling the Lord what to do. Not a good idea ever. And then the Lord will do what is needed. From the tying of the anchor to the 75 crosses, to the separation of heaven and hell, this window proclaims the wonder of what our Lord accomplishes through we who are sinners. This window is to reflect more than anything else to us who are in this room. We are his chosen. We are the people of God, his disciples, which he has chosen for a very specific purpose. Not one of us will have the same purpose. All have our own unique purposes, to accomplish something for this world and to bring people to Christ. This is our purpose. This is what the window proclaims. In choosing his disciples, he clearly tells us he has chosen us all. May God help us to understand and always grow in our knowledge of how to serve him. Amen.